You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast presented by GoHighLevel.com. For a free 30-day trial of the best all-in-one digital marketing software tool on the planet, just go to GoHighLevel.com/Travis. What's going on, money makers? Welcome back to the Travis Makes Money podcast, where it's our mission to help you make more money. Today on the show, we're going to be talking all about your health with my new friend, Dominic Iacovone, a serial entrepreneur, husband, father, investor, and founder of Relive Health. In 2017, Dominic has seen it all. He started Relive with one simple mission: the idea to take each individual patient and build a comprehensive health plan based on their individual symptoms to achieve long-term health and wellness goals. Now, with over 26 locations nationwide, Relive Health offers services such as bloodwork, hormone optimization therapy, medical weight loss, and IV therapy, and ozone therapy. So many things to talk about within the health space as far as how to make money doing these things that are things that you really care about. And I love that they take a comprehensive plan to build something that's individualized to each person, because there is no one size fits all when it comes to your diet, just like there's no one size fits all when it comes to making money. So I'm super stoked to have Dominic on the show. But really quick, before we jump into that, if you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur using multiple softwares for marketing, email, forms, calendars, SMS, reputation management, et cetera, then you might be doing it wrong. You owe it to yourself to check out High Level's all-in-one platform for marketing and automation so that you can get back to focusing on what you know how to do best. They've created an amazing tool that's somehow as simple as it is capable. So join over 3 million other businesses and go to GoHighLevel.com/Travis for a free 30-day trial to see what High Level can do for you. Dominic, what's up, dude? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So there seems to be, whenever I talk to somebody who's in the health space, there seems to be kind of a origin story of sorts, something that made you jump into this world of holistic health and a non-traditional, non-Western society approach to
Yep.
taking care of your health. So why don't you start by telling me exactly how that happened for you?
Yeah, great question. So I got into health and wellness and really due to my grandfather, not biological, but he passed away of Lou Gehrig's disease,
Mm.
it's a terrible disease, so ALS. And I got really interested in health biology. So I did my undergrad in molecular and microbiology, doctorate in chiropractic, and I kind of just fell in love with medicine. I fell in love with all pieces of it and just the ability to, I guess you could say, live well versus like just age, right? I think there's a very big difference between quality of life and just living. So that's kind of how I initially got into it. And I kind of got into like the fitness scene when I was in college. So I learned a lot about hormones and a lot about preventative care and a lot about just like this kind of biohacking that you would consider what a lot of people call it today, but ultimately just ways to improve quality of life. And I wanted to offer that to the masses. And this is obviously in 2017 when a lot of this was like almost considered voodoo. So it was a kind of a rough start, but now obviously it's so mainstream that it's been, an incredible experience over the last couple of years to really grow it to what it is today.
Tell me how you made your first dollar ever, Dominic.
Yeah, sure. So my first dollar ever, like actual dollar,
Yep.
was I in high school. I used to sell candy. I would buy candy from like Costco or Sam's Club, and I would bring it to school and sell it. And I would have like 5 or 6 kids working bags of candy for me, and then I would let them like either eat 5 bars or take $5 a bag. And I had a pretty successful business all
Nice,
the way
dude.
through high school. Yeah.
Did this school eventually shut you down or what?
Yeah, they shut me down pretty quick. I was like
Yeah.
killing all their fundraisers because they used to do the same thing, but I would get like the cool candy, like the variety packs of like the best kinds of candy.
Yeah.
So they told me I had to stop, which whatever, it's fine. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, it's hilarious, man. It's funny because I asked that question a lot on the show, and it's almost predictable for each generation of people what their
Yeah,
like first like side hustle gig was.
yeah,
Like I get a lot of like old generations talking about delivering papers.
yeah,
That's been one of the number one answers for that one. I get a lot of and then I get a lot of selling candy or doing landscaping for
yeah.
like kind of millennial generation.
Yeah, so I did candy until I could drive. And then once I was able to drive, I started a pressure washing company. So I
There you
started
go.
pressure washing driveways and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's all about that. It's all about that hustle. What do you think the
Yeah.
new one's gonna be? For like if we ask this question to Gen Z, in like 10 years, what do you think their first hustle is gonna be?
I would say some type of an influencer, like
Yeah,
some type
probably.
of monetization from social media.
Yeah. Or
TikTok.
like just like I edited TikTok videos or something
Yeah,
like
some
that.
shit like that
I
for
clipped
sure.
podcasts.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, hey, it works. So
No,
I
it
mean,
does, dude. Yeah. I mean,
what if
the
you
cool
agree?
thing about like those types of businesses too is that they can actually scale. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you can only sell so much candy out of your locker in high school. But like if
I
you
would
start,
argue, I would argue that the age for making your first million has significantly decreased over the last few years based off of social media for sure.
yeah, based off social media and inflation,
Yeah, well,
you
for
know.
sure.
Yeah.
No doubt. I've also I think it's funny because like I just had a conversation with someone about this, but it was like it's going to be so funny to see this change in culture of like the Hamptons is going to be full of like content creators one day. And it's
Yeah.
not going to be like old bankers, old business guys. It's going to be such a different genre of people in these like, high net worth areas. And it was a good conversation because it's totally true. I
Yeah.
definitely see the shift happening.
Yeah, for sure, man. And even people who are kind of like selling the shovels there too. Like I talked to this like 19-year-old kid the other day who's doing a couple million a year on TikTok Shop. He just like mastered TikTok Shop and he
Yeah.
helps like D2C brands and CPG brands sell their stuff on TikTok. So
Yeah.
he like sets up their shop and introduces them to people to sell stuff as affiliate and takes a percentage of everything. It's like he's not
Yeah.
even like nobody knows who the kid is, but he's racking up some cash right now
A nice
just
way.
because
When
he
you're
knows
doing it
TikTok.
behind the scenes, no one knows. It's great.
Yeah, right. Cool stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, dude. I want to jump into a little bit of the entrepreneurship
Yeah.
thing. The show is
Sure.
really built for people who want to learn how to make more money. I
Yeah.
see too many people online talk about cutting expenses.
Yeah.
And while that is certainly a lever that should be pulled and
Yeah.
oftentimes should be pulled first, like you got to stop the bleeding sometimes,
Yeah.
before you work on anything else. I also think that you can only cut so much until you just cut out everything fun and enjoyable from your life in search of just stacking cash and saving for retirement. And to me, that's
Yeah.
not a good way to live life either. So,
I'm like the
um,
total opposite of that.
yeah.
So
So tell me a little bit about your financial philosophy.
yeah, so I think obviously one thing I will say is I don't know if you know about all the portfolios of brands, but Relive is one of our brands, and then I own a lot of other brands. So collectively, we manage $1 billion a year in revenue.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot. We do really well, right? We just actually went through an acquisition in a partnership with the Quality Group for Raw Nutrition, which is one of my brands. Um, but realistically, I think for me, what I think the best example that I can set for people is like I like nice stuff, I like doing good stuff. I think quality of life is very important. So I think when you're dealing with, building a business, building a brand, like burning out by saving and consistently just trying to run as lean as possible is probably a really fast way to hate what you do.
Hmm.
I think there has to be a point or a point of diminishing return where the effort you're putting in needs to reward, and if it doesn't, it makes you not want to do it anymore. So for me, when I first started, I ran very lean. I didn't do a lot. I tried to do as much as I could personally. And this is the conversation I have with everyone who I have these podcasts with. It's very simple. It's like you can only do that for so long until you're stopping yourself from growing because you're trying to hold on to too much, right? So
Hmm.
to give you an example, when I opened my first location of Relive, which was my first business, um, if I stayed in that position and I ran that office and I didn't hire someone to take that position for me to be able to grow the brand, I would still be a one office company, in Stuart, Florida. And I would be making, that office does great. It does, $500,000 a month. It's not bad money, but I wouldn't be where I am today,
You
right?
said a $500,000 a month?
Yeah.
Jesus, dude. Just from the stuff that we are talking about before, like blood work,
Yeah.
hormone
Yeah.
optimization,
Yeah. Yeah.
optimization,
Yeah.
one location.
One location, yeah.
Is that location dependent as well?
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. So not all of them do that. I mean, we have some in the threes, some in the twos, high ones,
Still
but
though,
they
man, that's
go,
insane. Like
yeah.
what type of box you run out of?
Usually the largest footprint we have is mine in Stewart, which is 6,000 square feet. Smallest footprint is 1,200 square feet. So the
Wow.
smallest footprint is really small, about 1150, which is our Wellington location, and he pops out about 250 to 275 a month.
No way, man.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane. What type if you can't answer these questions, just tell me. But
Sure.
what type of profit margins do you run on these clinics typically?
So up until $100,000 is your break even point. So you got to make 100 grand to break even. Anything over $200,000 is traditionally around a 20% EBITDA. And then anything over that, you're in the 33. So my steward office, I'm netting close to 200,000 a month.
Oh my goodness, man. What
Yeah.
is this something that you have to be like a board certified doctor or something like that to run one of these, or do you
No,
just be an entrepreneur?
you need a full medical staff. So there is a difference. My offices have a full-time medical provider on duty, right? So a lot of these offices you'll see will have nurses, and then they'll have like a medical director per se who kind of oversees it, but they're not there. I do require our offices to have a full-time nurse practitioner or physician assistant on duty, and I think that really is why we do so well, because we can do so much more on the fly, whereas we don't have to call and get approvals and this, that, and the other. Yeah, so I think that in my opinion, having a really strong operator in the seat of an ownership is way more valuable than having a medically trained professional. I think
Mm,
you can have very good medically trained professionals. It's really hard to find really good operators.
yeah.
We almost require our offices to be owner operated for that reason.
Okay, got it. So are you selling these as franchise
Yeah,
locations?
yeah,
Got it. Okay.
yeah.
Got it. Got it. When you are first launching a location, is there a certain like path that they need to start down in terms of like opening up SKUs or
Oh,
products
yeah,
or services?
yeah. So we have a full detailed. I mean, it literally goes all the way down to the paint on the wall, the picture on the wall, the type of flooring, the doors you put in. I mean, it's a map where 3 to 6 months before you come on board as a franchisee, your staff has to go through basically our own university where you get educated on what we do, how we do it. Doctors, nurses, front of house, client advocates, they all go through it. It's basically like them going to school. They have to test out. So they have to basically test out of these modules to get to pass to be hired. Once they're hired, they get hired. And then we give them like a pre-opening check. I mean, it's literally, you can't mess up. Like it's
Mm.
very difficult to mess up.
Do you like, are you required? What type of sales or marketing staff do you need to have in house?
So marketing, we don't do in-house. That's mainly, we handle that on the corporate level up top. So we manage all SEO, Facebook ads, Meta ads, Google ads. And then they're responsible for the boots on the ground marketing. So like going to the local events,
Sure.
educating the consumer at those things, that's on them. Doing their daily like vlog style, like come to me to relive, to get this experience, that's on
Yeah.
them to do and post on their own socials. And then the client advocate side, we train. So the client advocate is like, there's two people in an office. You have we call them a Dripley coordinator, which is your CRM manager. So they get people in the door. And then once they're in the door, that person is transitioned to a client advocate. So ultimately, you have one person responsible for getting people in the door, managing those appointments, making sure they come in. And then you have, once they transition to a client or a patient, they go to the client advocate. And then the client advocate is like your VIP host, basically. So if you ever need anything at the office anymore, you're not calling the front desk, you're not calling
Okay.
anyone, you're texting your client advocate. And we have apps on these phones where we can listen to what they say, how they text, what they text. So we're always monitoring how we can improve it. But ultimately, those two guys are very valuable to the organization.
Yeah. No kidding. That's
Yeah,
awesome, dude. When you first started this, was it basically just you?
it was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and the nurse. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. What were the first like services that you started offering where you were like, this is exciting?
Yeah, so I started with IV therapy. So that was the first thing I did was IVs, and it was man, the story is funny actually. We weren't doing well at all. I was like kind of like freaking out. And this was like the era. I don't know if you remember 2017, but that was like right when Facebook marketing kind of started, right? Like it was like the Wild West. And I hired a random like videographer to start just posting videos and talking and educating people on what we did, and it exploded. And that's kind of how I grew my brand. But at the
Oh, really?
time,
So was that kind of
yeah,
organic?
fully, yeah,
Oh,
fully organic.
wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I started it. And then at the time, I was 27 years old, covered in tattoos. So I was like a target. All the doctors hated me in my town. So they were calling the cops on me left and right. But ultimately, obviously, it paid off. So it was worth it.
Yeah, no kidding. I would say it's worth it. So
Yeah.
26 locations nationwide. Are you trying to stay in certain geographic locations before you expand to other parts? Or are you kind of all over the country now?
No, so we have 400 locations sold. So it's
Okay, of
it's not that we are 26 and kind of picking. It's we've gotten a map of development, but we have development schedules for all of our franchisees,
course.
and
Yeah.
they're just responsible for opening, 1 to 2 a year for the next 10 years.
Right.
So most major cities are fully taken right now. It's just developing as fast as we can to get them open and doing it in the right way where they're profitable.
Are you allowed to tell me how much? I know that there's different rules around like your FDDs and different
Yeah.
FTC requirements. Are you allowed to tell us like what the estimated cost to open a location
Yeah.
fully might be?
So our average cost to open is about $400,000.
Okay. So is that like, I'm assuming there's some sort of like net worth minimum requirement or something like that
Yeah,
to
yeah.
jump
You
in?
have to have a net worth minimum. You have to go through this whole process to get
Yeah.
basically vetted to
To
be
get
able
vetted.
to be
Yeah.
a franchisee, criminal history, all those different things. And then from there, you come down, we host a discovery day, which ultimately is you as a prospective person to own would go through a day of explaining the business, how it works, top to bottom. So you'll meet with our chief legal officer, you'll meet with our chief marketing officer, our chief medical officer, and we kind of break the business down in piece by piece by piece. We take you on a tour. You can go visit, 5 or 6 locations locally, get a feel for, how they are, talk to the owners, and then ultimately make your decision on if you want to invest in the brand.
Got it. Got it. When you are examining locations, have you figured out kind of like from a real estate perspective that like
Yeah.
this is our bread and butter right here?
Yeah, so we ended up we have a system. It's called Buxton and Scout. So there's two brands kind of collaborate on this system.
Uh-huh.
And what we do is we take like our most profitable location, which is something like my location, and it'll actually build out a perfect patient. So what age they are, what their annual income is, how much they spend on elective services, where else do they shop? Are they shopping at Whole Foods? Are they shopping at Fresh Market? And they build this perfect person.
Yeah.
And then from there, it builds out a chart. So, for example, if we had someone who wanted to come by Texas, we would ultimately go, okay, great, we're excited. We're going to take Texas and we're going to overlap this Buxton software. And it's going to basically tell us how many we can open in Texas and where the best locations in Texas are based off of demographic, growth, average income, and then obviously then going even more granular, saying, okay, well, this plaza has a Whole Foods in it. This is your perfect customer. There's a spot available in this plaza. So we actually deliver all of that information to our prospective franchisees once they sign up to open.
This might be a difficult question, but if you had to, gun to the head, had to make a decision
Mhm.
on on cutting out every single service that you offer except for one, which
Yeah,
one would you keep?
hormone replacement therapy.
Really?
Yeah,
Just
I
from
think
a patient facing perspective or from a profit cash flow perspective?
I think both. I
Okay.
think it's definitely it's not the most profitable service we have, but I
Okay.
think it's the one that you retain the customers the longest for. So I think the average lifetime value of the consumer is the greatest there.
Yeah.
And I think that eventually everyone needs it, right? I think everyone at a certain point is going to be at the point where they need hormone optimization or replacement,
Yeah.
and we do it damn good. So I would say that if I had to put all my eggs in one basket, it would be that basket.
Yeah. Are you, is this kind of like perimenopausal women? Is this kind of
Both men
like
and
men
women.
with
Yeah,
testosterone like levels
yeah.
or
Yeah,
both?
so it's both. I think, you have perimenopause, but you also have to remember after a woman gives childbirth, very significant things happen to their hormones where you want to fix them and get them back to where they were, which a lot of those things can cause, PTSD, postmenopausal stress. You could do premenopausal. You could have issues with, I mean, there's a million different hormonal issues now based off of, for lack of, transparency, like birth control, right? A lot of girls who were on birth control when they were younger have a lot of hormonal issues when they get older.
Sure.
Foods that we're eating, I hate to say it, but like there's something in them that are causing hormones to decline at a rapid rate. When I
Mhm.
first started Relive in 2017, I would say the average male would come in with, a low hormonal male was probably mid to late 30s. You wouldn't believe how many people I see now that are in the high 20s that have low hormones based off of just poor lifestyle choices, not exercising. And granted, we have a lot of natural ways that we can improve those things before we put them on hormone replacement therapy, and we do try to
Sure.
do that. But sometimes it's too far gone, and that's honestly very sad. It's sad.
Yeah, this might be a selfish question for me, bro, because I'm just curious about it. I've never taken like any, testosterone or done any TRT or anything like that. And a lot of my friends who are in the fitness world are
Sure,
in some sort of way taking testosterone.
sure,
What, like, if assuming you have some sort of naturally healthy testosterone levels,
sure.
should you avoid that? Like I've heard that it would be difficult to cycle off of to get your body to
Sure.
produce it
Absolutely
naturally again.
true. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. So ideally there's a couple of pathways to take. So if your body is producing 500-600 levels of testosterone naturally, which is a pretty decent level, optimal is 800-900,
Sure.
but I run at 400-500 and I feel great. I run a lot. I like to keep myself light. So anything over that just it doesn't work well for me. So I keep myself right there. Now, if you wanted to optimally increase and get to that 8 to 900, there's natural ways that you can improve testosterone, HCG, Clomid. There's different types of, they call them PCT type protocols you can use to get there.
Okay.
But once you start taking testosterone, you basically are dedicating the rest of your life to it. And if anyone tells you different, they're lying to you.
Yeah, they're
And I'll
trying
be
to sell you
the one to
something.
say that. Yeah, the people can say, oh yeah, if you ever want to get off of it, you can do a post-cycle therapy, which is kind of what I explained to you to naturally increase your levels. But it is a very, very rare occurrence that you're able to bring them back to where they were naturally once you start taking synthetic testosterone.
Yeah, so it's really depending on your age, it could be
Yeah, I mean,
like a
look,
really
there's a
bad thing.
point in your life where you're going to be a certain age and you're going to be like, man, I can't eat what I used to eat. I
Yeah,
feel like shit. I don't have the energy I used to have. And those are the signs. My sex drive isn't where it needs to be. That's when you say, okay, my quality of life at this point is suffering from something, right?
yeah,
And then what can I do to fix it? And if the answer is lifelong testosterone therapy that you can manage through a physician that is cost effective, I think that's a win.
yeah,
But again, having the realistic expectation of knowing you're not getting off of it, and that's what my client advocates do best is a lot of people that own these facilities like mine or, in the same realm, they try to sell anything and they'll try to do anything they can to get someone to buy.
sure.
And what happens is they get bad reputations because 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, they're like, well, you said this, or you told me it was going to be like this. And this is, if you're dealing with hormones and you're starting hormones, and either you have to, one, understand that you will be on them forever. And two, you have to also understand that, you have to be able to find financially stable enough to do it
Yeah,
and consistent enough to do it. Because I have patients who are the wealthiest people in the world, but they're lazy and they'll skip a shot or they'll not order their medication. And then you have your hormones going like this on a monthly basis.
yeah.
That's way worse for you than not doing it in the first place. So just again, understanding all of those things, being aware of those things, and then committing to those things is what you need to be able to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like the health version of get rich quick. You know what I mean? Like they look at it as like the shortcut to the desired physique that they want. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, but you still got to go to the gym. You
Yeah.
still
And
got
you
to eat
also,
protein. You still
yeah. And
can't
you
eat
also,
donuts all the time.
exactly,
Like,
100%. And you also have to know, like, it took you 30 years to get here. It's not going to take you a week to feel better.
mm,
That realistic expectation of how long is it going to be until all of these things happen? Well, it's not going to be tomorrow,
yeah,
and females are usually the toughest there. Females want it to happen right away. And a lot of females, unfortunately, will get worse before they get better. So,
mm,
testosterone is very common in female hormone replacement therapy too. But what elevating testosterone in a female does is it also elevates estrogen. And
mm,
then what does estrogen do when you elevate it? It increases water retention. So the body instantly, when you start a female on hormone replacement therapy, it starts to retain water. So what does that mean? They gain weight. They
yeah,
start to get strong. They freak out. But that's just the body normalizing itself to understanding what's happening. And usually between 3 and 6 weeks, that goes away. And then you just start to get the good side effects. But imagine not explaining that to a female,
yeah,
them getting
right.
therapy,
Yeah.
gaining pounds, and then saying, I came here to lose weight. I came here to look better. I'm fatter and I gain weight. I'm
Yeah.
quitting.
I feel
Right.
like
Like,
shit. Yeah, right.
exactly.
And I
So
just
like
paid you
again,
money to do all of that.
yeah, just having those realistic expectations, man, are so critical in this space.
Yeah, man. What are the plans here? Are you trying to continue to scale this? Obviously, you have 400 locations signed for, or
Yeah,
that you're developing over the next decade. Is the
yeah.
goal to keep this one and exit other businesses? Are you trying to
So I
exit this
just
one?
I just exited. Well, I didn't exit fully of raw nutrition, but we sold a good amount of it out. Relive, we are looking for a strategic partner right now. I sold 30% of the company to the founders of Orange Theory and Massage Envy 2 years ago. So that's
Okay.
how we did this huge growth spurt over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Now we're really looking for some institutional growth as far as bringing on like a really strong corporate team, developing out, operational models across the country. So that's kind of the next phase of it. I'm not interested in selling anymore. I'm the majority shareholder. I really love what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Unless there's a strategic opportunity to really like invest and grow the brand bigger, then we can do it on our own.
Yeah. So your goal is really just like this is my baby. I'm gonna grow this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this. I always tell people if you can get into business where you're making money, but you're changing the quality of people's lives, it's pretty hard to, find a better gig than that.
Yeah.
And I've
Right.
been able to do that in all of my companies. Every company I own is in the health sector, so I'm blessed.
Well, this is kind of where you end up with that like founder regret. Like I've talked to so many founders, man, where post exit, you think that's what you're building toward,
Yeah.
and then you exit, and then like the day after you get depressed, and it's like the
Yeah.
opposite of what they thought was going to happen, but it's because you just sold your purpose to somebody else, you know what I mean? And now like you wake up in the morning, you're like, what do I do? How
Yeah. I mean,
do
I'll
I
be
spend my
honest with
time?
you. When I sold the majority stake of Raw, you think like this is life-changing money, you never have to work a day again in your life. And I'm really lucky because I retained my position after. I'm still the CEO of Raw Nutrition. And I couldn't really imagine like what I would do without these things, right?
Yeah.
Like you're right, and you think, oh, this is life-changing. My life is going to be so different. And like nothing has changed. There literally nothing in my life changed. There's not one thing that changed except my wealth management people love me a lot more than they used to.
Yeah.
Right?
Other people are getting paychecks that are bigger now. That's
Yeah.
basically
So
all.
for
Yeah.
me, it's like you find a passion, you love your passion. And I think when you speak to people who never find that, when you speak to people who have never been able to really put a finger on what they love and they're going through this like constant discovery mode of what they think they should be doing with their lives, it makes you realize how blessed you are when you do have a purpose and you do really align with what you do. So I don't take that for granted. So I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah. There's almost nothing more dangerous than purposeless, directionless young men.
Absolutely.
So, dude, appreciate you for coming on, man. It's been awesome for a multitude of reasons. Where can people go to get more from you, Dominic?
Yeah, I mean, my social media is probably the best spot to get me. It's Instagram and then it's my last name, so Iacovone, and then that's where all my brands are. You'll find everything you need to know about me there.
At Iacovone, that's Iacovone. Go check out some of the stuff that Dom's putting out over there. I mean, you heard it from him. He talks a lot about these, health things, but also really, really smart business guy as well. So for anybody that's listening to this show, I'm sure you'll get some really, really great value from his socials. And I saw a camera guy in the background there walking
Yeah,
around filming this whole thing. So I'm sure you're
yep,
putting out content like crazy. So
for
go check
sure.
out some of the stuff that he's putting out over there. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, money only solves your money problems, but it is a little bit easier to solve the rest of your problems if you got some money in the bank. So let's solve that problem first here on the Travis Makes Money podcast. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you next time. Peace out.